I don't have a platform. I'm not famous, not even YouTube famous. In all likelihood, nobody important, nobody with any kind of power will see this video. I don't have a script. I haven't really prepared anything, but I still want to make this video just because there's a lot going on in the world right now, and I might as well put my thoughts out there, make them available to anyone who might stumble across them now or in the future. And even if no one does, just make sure they're out there. Um, so, up until now, the most famous Vladimir in history was Vlad the Impaler, who many may know as the possible basis for Dracula and the idea of sort of vampire nobles, people in power who are so violent and so bloodthirsty in war that they are known forever as a terrible monster. And I suspect that going forward in the future, there will be another Vlad that will be a common name in history books and folklore, but it won't be a Vlad of monstrous proportions of violent tendencies, though he is those things. It will be a Vlad the infantile. It will be a man who is so arrogant and so desperate for approval from others, so desperate for respect and reverence that instead of earning those things, he throws a tantrum like a child and tries to force those things upon himself. He is currently throwing a childish tantrum as explosive as all of the toys that he has at his disposal. And in the process, millions of people are dying. Um, Basically, and I'm not a political science expert, I'm not extremely well versed in politics, but the way I understand it is Vlad has decided that he needs a bunch of people to be under his authority, and they don't want to be. So, in response, he has found some people who do want to be under his authority and used helping them as an excuse to commit genocide against all of the people who do not want to obey him. And genocide is a word that unfortunately can get thrown around quite dismissively or can be minimized when we talk about history. You know, genocide is a terrible thing, but it's a thing, it's a political thing, it's not. Genocide is not political. Genocide is murder on a scale beyond anything you can imagine. You know, we have movies about serial killers, both documentaries and fiction, and we consider that disgusting and horrible. We consider them monsters. Serial killers are nothing compared to genocidal maniacs. A serial killer might shoot someone, might shoot 10 people or 20 people, but Vlad and his followers are launching missiles, actual missiles, at citizens of the Ukraine. They are marching in with guns and tanks and bombs and killing everyone that gets in their way in the, I don't even want to call it hope because that's too positive of a word, but in the expectation that if they kill enough people, everyone will just do what they say. And Putin knows how the rest of the world sees this. He's not stupid, he's just a child. He knows that everyone else in the world, in the Ukraine, in Europe, in Africa, Asia, America, South America, everywhere, is watching him now. And nobody approves. Everyone sees that he is being a maniacal child who was unfortunately, or who has unfortunately taken power over the years and gotten to a position where he has the ability to destroy the world. And, and that's the problem, because we know that he has the power to destroy the world, but so does he. And so he has decided if anybody gets in his way, he will kill them. And if anybody outside the Ukraine gets in his way, well, he'll threaten to launch nukes. Set off World War III, except, well, let's put it this way. Nuclear warheads have only ever actually been used twice in all of human history. The atom bombs in Hiroshima and Nagasaki during World War II. So, consider how dangerous two atom bombs were. And now consider that Russia currently has deployed 1,500 nuclear warheads at the ready to be launched at Putin's command. And many more that are not deployed yet, but I'm sure can be if Putin feels it's necessary. So basically, this little child who has never learned to appreciate the value or existence of any other people besides himself is throwing a tantrum that is murdering countless people and saying to everyone else, if you stop me from murdering other people, I will destroy the entire world. Now, would he actually launch nuclear warheads? I don't know. And honestly, I don't think anyone really knows for sure, except maybe the people closest to Vlad himself. There's a lot of speculation, a lot of theorizing. A lot of people say he would never do it because he would lose too many Russians and he could potentially die in the conflict. I'm not convinced that he really cares, to be honest. How many Russian soldiers have died in the war so far? In just the past 7 days since the escalation, or in the past 8 years since Russia started its battles with the Ukraine? Has he cared yet? He doesn't seem to care about anything other than being right and being obeyed. All he seems to care about is power, and I don't think he cares how many people are left for him to hold power over as long as he has that power. But I don't know. Like I said, it's all speculation. Nobody knows except Vlad and his closest followers. What I do know is that things are not okay. And let's be honest, if we take the world as a whole, things have not been okay in many areas of the world pretty much forever. But we now have a superpower with an arsenal of nukes at the ready, escalating a war into genocide. And that makes everything all the more dangerous. I don't want to, in fact, I actually want to make this very clear. I don't want anyone to turn this into a Russians versus Ukraine or Russians versus the world. It's not Russians that are doing this. It is specifically Vladimir Putin and everyone who is following Vladimir Putin's orders. There are many Russians that are against this, and in fact, many who are risking their lives and the lives of their families to protest what is going on. This is not a Russian problem. This is a Putin problem. In fact, I don't even know what percentage of soldiers following Putin's orders right now are doing it because they are loyal to him, because they agree with him, or because they're afraid for their own families and their own lives if they don't obey him, which is a completely valid fear for them to have, or how many are just obeying because they were given orders and they believe that orders must be followed. I mean, even here in the US military has a large culture of blind obedience. And I would expect the Russian military to be even worse in that regard. So, yeah, I don't want to demonize the people who are following orders and don't realize they have options as much as the people who are following the orders because they agree with them. And I certainly would never, ever decry the people who are following orders because they, believe they have no choice and they may be right. Some people will say there's always a choice, but if the choice is follow orders or have your whole family murdered, it's not really a choice. And Vlad the Infantile is 100% capable of imposing that kind of ultimatum upon military members and Russian civilians alike. And he has shown no mercy in the past. So there's no reason to think he would start now. To the Russians who are risking everything to protest this, you are some of the bravest people I've ever known to exist. Um, and stay safe. Stay safe. But thank you. To all the Ukrainians who are living in fear of their lives right now, um, also stay safe. Do everything you can to survive because sometimes you are at the wrong place at the wrong time and everything around you gives you only one choice, which is survive or perish. And right now, for many Ukrainians, that is your only choice. So please do everything you can to survive. Help those around you to survive whenever necessary or whenever possible. Just do what you can. And if you can't survive, but you can find a way out, please get out safely. Um, eventually, eventually, this war will end one way or another. Whether it takes the whole world down with it, or whether the world takes Putin down first, remains to be seen. But it will end. I just hope it ends without the maximum amount of casualties. That's another word that I hate. Casualties. We talk about casualties of war when what it really is, again, is murder. We just like to use a different word to make it sound more detached, less personal, less valuable. It's murder. Every life lost to war is murder. No different than some guy on the street stabbing or shooting you to death. Except that it's some guy sitting in an office sending out troops of people with bombs and guns to shoot and and explode you to death on a large scale. So it's worse than murder. Yeah, I don't I don't really know, as I said at the beginning of this video, I don't know that I have any way to help. I don't know that I have any platform. I don't know that anyone with any kind of power to help is going to ever see this video, or maybe anyone at all. But I felt like these are ideas that need to be said. These are ideas that need to exist out in the world in case somebody might find them. Because you never know. You never know what might inspire someone. You never know what might happen. And the last thing that I want to say is when it comes to propaganda, and there has been so much propaganda in every country for so long, and Russia has some of the worst of it. It's 2022. Everyone, pretty much everyone in the Western world has a device in their pockets with them at all times that can record first-hand footage and video of what's happening around them and put it online. And I know that many websites in Russia are blocked to prevent access to that kind of information, but I also know there are ways around them. So if you know anyone in Russia, um, please encourage the use of VPNs, um, the use of, well, mostly VPNs, and the use of social media through those VPNs to see what's really happening. You don't have to try and figure out whether your government is lying to you, because you don't have to listen to a thing the government says. You can see for yourself through firsthand video what's happening in Ukraine. And you can decide whether you want to believe that this is a secret military operation to help out some people who support Russia, or if this is a large-scale attack to murder those who don't. I think seeing the destruction and death for yourself kind of makes that distinction clear. And I understand not everyone can do this. Not everyone can get access to these things. And even if they do, not everyone can speak out against it without risking the lives of them of themselves and their loved ones. And I don't judge anyone for not doing it. I just think the more people who can see these things, the more people who can learn the truth, the more people who can speak out against it, the fewer people Putin will have under his thumb. And that may not make a difference in the end, but it might. Yeah, I don't know what the right thing to do is, but I know what the wrong thing is. So fuck Ivan the Infantile. May he rot in every level of the nine hells.